Welcome to the next episode of Leadership Stories, brought to you by Inroads Leadership Development. Our guest today is Apurva Purohit, President of the Jargon Group, one of India's leading multimedia conglomerates. With over 3 decades of experience in the media and entertainment industry, she currently manages a diverse portfolio which includes print, radio, digital, and outdoor. Over the years, Apurva has won multiple business awards and has been named as one of the most powerful women in business as per India Today and Fortune India. She is a leading voice advocating gender diversity in the Indian business landscape and has authored 2 national bestsellers for working women titled Lady, You're Not a Man and Lady, You Are the Boss. While I'd of course heard of Apurva and her work earlier, I had the pleasure of getting to know her better after I read her recent book, Lady, You're the Boss. With every chapter that I read in the book, I thought she was narrating my own story. And then only to realize it probably is the story of every other woman in the Indian workforce. Well, almost, I guess. Welcome, Apurva, to this series called Leadership Stories.
Thank you, Neerja, for inviting me.
While I was thinking of one of the leadership lessons that we should focus on during today's chat, I remember the chapter from your book, Lady, You're the Boss, titled Skyla and Charybdis. You have no choice but to choose. For our viewers, in this chapter, Apurva compares Odysseus' story from the Greek mythology that he had to make a choice between the 2 sea monsters that posed a threat to the passing ships, and the difficult choices that today's leaders have to face on a daily basis, especially relevant in today's COVID-19 times when all of us are facing these situations and having to make difficult choices every day. Apurva, what is the lesson that you wish the leaders of today to learn from this Greek hero?
I think, Neerja, the clear lesson that I was trying to sort of portray through the story of Odysseus is that as leaders, we have to constantly make choices. And these are tough choices. So it's only in films that you have choice between black and white, between good and evil. And then obviously it's a very easy choice to make. In real life and in the situations that we face every day, the choices are almost always between good and better or bad and worse. And as a consequence, leaders are never operating in black and white situations, but they're operating in various shades of gray. So I think the first lesson and the most important lesson a leader has to make is that life will be always about choices, and these will be tough choices. And I should have the courage to make these choices.
Very true. Very well said. I'm sure in your long career as the boss lady, as you are called, you would also have had made some immensely difficult choices leading to decisions that you believed was right for the organization at that point in time. Could you narrate one such instance and how you went about making that choice?
So obviously in the last 30 years, Neerja, I've had to make a lot of choices every day. And as I earlier mentioned, that many times they are tough choices to make. And obviously some choices work out, some choices don't work out, some choices you think is the greater good, and then there turns out to be another even greater good after that. But given the COVID-19 situation that I think most leaders and managers are facing today, where they have to make choices between businesses and protecting both the business and their teams, what are the thoughts that are going through their minds? So I narrate a particular example which is likely to resonate with a lot of them. And this is some time ago when, if you remember the last recession, we went through a similar phase. And many of the service organizations, such as the set of organizations that I handle, people are both our biggest resource and our biggest cost. So if you rationalize costs in every other manner, but finally it does come to people costs, because that's the biggest part of your P&L. And then there was a choice between what do I do? There are options like laying off people. There were options like cutting salaries. There were options like getting a particular set of people to go. And it was truly a Skyla versus Charybdis kind of choice, right? So on the one hand, the Odysseus has a ship that will get most probably eaten up completely if he goes in one direction. On the other hand, he has to sacrifice 6 people. So what choice does he make? And it's not that the 6 people are not important or the 6 people are not and it's definitely though he's going to lose 6 people at one end. On the other hand, it's likely that the ship will sink. So at this stage, what choice? And you don't have days to think over it and act over it. You have to almost make choices on the run. So I made a choice of letting go of some very senior resources. They had worked with me. I was very fond of them. But then it can't be about personal likes or dislikes, right? But letting go of 2-3 senior people ensured that I saved the job of 30-40 people. So that's the kind of, it was not an easy choice. It was a very difficult choice, but then that's the choice that I made at that point.
Okay, all right. And how did you go about making that choice? I know it is to be done maybe in a day, in a week. You might have taken some time to kind of take that decision. Did you go around talking to these senior leaders to explain to them, or you just said that okay, this is my decision, and whoever says what, I go by it, and we'll see the consequences later? How did you go about it?
So in this particular point, because it was quite a sensitive issue, and some of the people I was letting go of were the advisors, I couldn't ask them. So it was a fairly individual decision. But after having thought through with all the data and all the analysis that I had in front of me, but it's also, Nirja, many times I think. When we try to, as leaders, make choices, it is important to co-opt people in the decision making. And here it is a lot about co-opting let's say the board or the guys who have invested in your organization, your investors and your fund managers, because I do not subscribe to this point of view that a leader should say, okay, I'll make my choice and then I'll deal with it.
Right.
Okay. Because you have to co-opt an organization to back you on that choice, to align with you there. So it is a lot about conversations that you need to do, buy-ins that you need to get, and that you need to show that patience to get in buy-ins of the important stakeholders.
That's a wonderful example and extremely tough decision. When I recollect my corporate journey, yes, there have been times when I've also had to make these decisions. Definitely tough when you have to decide between the business outcome and people. I think that's one of the most tough choices that leaders have to make. How do organizations support leaders to take these tough decisions? You did mention that you spoke to the board, and of course you had data, and then you had to co-opt. But in your 30 years of career, do you think organizations really support leaders when they take these decisions? Because if the leader does not have the backing of the organization, the leader will just delay the decision making, and he may think that okay, let me in the current and today's time gain some public goodwill, so let me just delay the decision making. So are there processes that organizations put in place to help leaders take decisions during tough times?
So I think there are 3 things both the organization and equally the leader have to do. The first I've already mentioned, where the leader also has to learn to co-opt an organization or co-opt the board in his decision making by doing buy-in. The other thing is, I think many times leaders make the mistake of weighing the cost benefit analysis of 2 decisions. So if I do X, what will happen? And if I do Y, what will happen? But equally, there is a cost that one has to incur for no decision at all. People don't look at that bit. Okay, if I take a decision X way, this is the impact. If I take a decision Y way, this is the impact. But if I take no decision, there is a cost impact to the organization. And sometimes that is a very, very large cost to pay. So anytime when these conversations are happening, I urge the leader and the organization to weigh 3 parameters. Decision A versus decision B, and no decision at all.
Okay.
And you will realize, and I have seen this always I have seen that the cost of no decision is far, far higher.
Definitely. I know. I mean, you just postponing it, and then you have to again at that point in time, whether you postpone for a month or 2, you have to take a decision.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you just lost the time of 2 months. When something better or worse could have happened, but something would have happened.
Absolutely. And I think the third bit at this moment, at this point that I want to say is, I read about this somewhere, and I really like this concept that people do postmortems. Okay, if you've done something after 6 months, after a year, you do but there's a concept of pre-mortem also.
Okay.
So you sit today and think about a year later and say, okay, if I do X, what will happen a year later? If I do Y, what will happen a year later? If I don't do anything, what will happen a year later?
Okay.
And if you've got pre-mortem kind of a thing, I think it helps in two manners. It helps you clear your mind.
Yeah.
These are the consequences of my decision A, decision B, or no decision. Equally, that's an opportunity for a larger body to get a buy-in and alignment in.
Sure.
You're sitting and doing a pre-mortem.
Right. Yeah. Something like, I always say, people usually sit and fight during appraisals, but they don't spend that time in the goal setting period. If you spend the same amount of time in goal setting, I think, you won't have that big drama integrate at the end of the year.
Totally.
Wonderful. Sure. So when I think about the leaders in the organizations that I have worked in, I think the ones that have left a mark with me, who I immensely respect, are the ones who come and spoken out loud and clear in terms of what they have in their minds and the decisions that they are taking. And they would tell us, the pros and cons of it. And it might look bleak at that point in time, but this leader had the guts to come and speak out. Because that is something that I have always respected. As against someone who would have done something in the background and, blame somebody else and say that the management decided, never, take the accountability and responsibility for that decision. So I think that's how I always remember the ones who I hugely respect. As a closing note, Apurva, would you want our audiences to have a couple of tips? I know you've given a couple of tips like the pre-mortem and kind of, evaluate the three, option A, option B, and not doing anything. But anything else in terms of a couple of tips that can help them, during tough moments in terms of decision making and not postpone?
Yeah. So I think the first thing I have to say is that if you're a leader, you have to be brave and courageous. Leadership is not a popularity contest. You're not here to be liked or loved or admired. You're here because it is your job to take your organization through tough situations and help them navigate the challenges that the organization is facing. And that requires having guts, as you just mentioned, having the courage to speak out, having the courage to take decisions. I think so courage is a fundamental requirement a leader has to have. The second point that I want to make is that many times I see managers and leaders try to gather as much information before taking a decision. I'm here to tell everybody that never are you going to have full information. Never are you going to have full disclosure of how things are going to pan out. Never are you going to have 100% sound data. Okay, and waiting for that and keeping on analyzing leads you to analysis paralysis. And again you keep on playing in front of the goal without shooting through the goal. Okay, so you will have to, and that is the second lesson of taking decisions, you will have to take decisions with partial information, especially in this day and time where there is so much volatility. What do we know? Post-COVID, how will things pan out? None of us know. Nobody has a crystal ball. But does that mean that I just now wait? Or does that mean that I try to navigate my ship as best as I can with limited information? So I think second bit of waiting for accurate, complete analysis is not a good idea. You're never going to have it. I think that's the second point I want to make. And then finally, what I want to say is that, trying to figure out, as, Odysseus did, that what is the greater good? 6 people versus my ship. You again are never going to know what is the best good. Today it may seem as a greater good. Later on, it may seem something else. So, for example, let's look at what's happening right now with this COVID and the whole controversy or the conversations that are going around the lockdown. Now, there are parties who are saying a complete lockdown is a good idea. There are parties who are saying, no, it's not a good idea. Right? Now, who knows what is right? We may turn around and say, no, the greater good is the lockdown. A few months later, you will realize actually the slowing down of the economy was actually caused far more turmoil and far more trauma than the lockdown. So at that time, lockdown may seem like a bad idea. Maybe 3 months later, when you see some countries who have not done the lockdown at all or have done a partial lockdown have a huge amount of deaths. Right. Again, lockdown will start seeming like a better idea.
Right.
So you're never going to know. Today, lockdown is a bad idea because the economy is in bad shape. Tomorrow, far more deaths. The lockdown would be a good idea.
Right.
Now, you are not going to know. You are not going to therefore be in a position ever to justify the decision that you have taken. But again, I say that you have to move ahead. What will happen at the worst? 50% of your decision will be wrong.
Exactly.
And now what's the worst? 50%. But at least if you have made a wrong decision, you'll quickly go up the learning point and correct it.
Exactly. That's true.
Whereas if again you're not doing anything, you don't even know that you made a mistake.
Right.
So I think that's the third point that I want to make. Don't be scared about making a wrong choice.
That's right.
Don't be scared. You don't have to justify it. You don't have to. As long as you took the best precautions and made a choice, and you made a mistake, and you can go up the learning curve and correct it quickly, and you're adaptable to that. Which brings me to my last and final lesson: that never get wedded to the decision you took, because have the agility, the adaptability to say, okay, I took this decision with whatever information I had, but it turned out to be the wrong decision. I'm quickly changing it. Right. Don't get wedded to it. Sure. So clearly, these are the 4 tips I would like to give any manager who's wanting to make choices.
Wonderful. And I think it works for individuals also. I mean, while as a leader for the team and organization, it's a great, way of decision making, especially in tough times. But individually for each of us, when we have to take a decision and are in a dilemma and, don't know whether, this is right or wrong, I think, this will work brilliantly for us also as an individual. I think the point that I thought was don't be wedded to that decision. You took it based on the facts that you had at that point in time, the circumstances that you were in at that point in time. You moved ahead. Things changed or didn't work out that way. Okay, take a pause and, as you said, let's just reflect on the learnings and take another decision and move on. So wonderful. I mean, it's leadership lessons and individual lessons, Apurva. Thank you so much for the time spent with me today to talk about one of the most important traits of a leader. To our viewers, I hope you all enjoyed this episode of Leadership Stories. It's said that leadership failures attributed more to the deficiency in decision-making than lack of specific knowledge or technical know-how. Please go ahead and take those tough decisions and do not shy away from them. Thank you, and till the next episode of Leadership Stories. Thank you, Apurva.
Lovely talking to you, Neerja. Thank you.